Hello everybody, hope you're having a great day. Well, take a look at these delicious, flaky, cinnamon honey butter biscuits. And I'm making these in the air fryer. I've got that new air fryer and I'm really enjoying learning how to use it and make the things I like. Let me show you how to do it. Well, of course you want to start with some flour, self-rising flour. We need 1 cup and I've got a ½ cup measure. And it's really important to know the difference between self-rising flour and all-purpose flour. And the difference is simply this: it's self-rising. That means it has baking powder already in it and also some salt. So it's flour with baking powder and salt. If you just use regular all-purpose flour, it's not going to come out right because you'll need to add baking powder. But if you want to do it with all-purpose flour, just add 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. And so now we bring it back over to the worktop. And I have some butter. This is salted butter and a small baking pan. It's a 5 by 2 inch bake pan. I'll put a link to it in the description box if you're interested. And butter that pan, and then we have a little grater, and I'm going to grate in about 2 tablespoons of salted butter, just like this. Okay? And now we want to get the butter incorporated into the flour, but we want to break it up and try to separate all those little pieces of butter. And so it's best to just do it by hand. It's real simple. My hands are clean. I washed my hands before I started. So we'll just separate all those little slivers of butter. I hope things are going well for you and that you are able to cook what you like to eat. I think cooking is a survival skill and everyone should know how to do it. All right? Now we'll take that same measuring cup and we want to add milk. And we're not going to use the entire ½ cup. I want you to notice, you see it's maybe about 3/4 of this cup filled. And this is such a small amount that just slight variations of the amount of milk can make a difference. And you'll have to learn, how to judge how much to put in. But either way, if it's a little more, it'll just make your dough a little more moist. And so you begin to just work this together nice and easy. You have to allow the milk the time it needs to be absorbed into the flour. And it's not going to completely absorb. You mix it and it gets real shaggy. This is like a shaggy dough. You see, it's not even all come together yet. And it's time to start working it with our hands. So just gently turning it over and pushing it, trying to get all of the flour to stick and come together. And I can tell this is going to be on the drier side. And so that's all right. But it's good to notice that while you're making it. You see all of the flour isn't even incorporated yet. So I'll just pour that on top of the dough ball. And we'll work it. Now what happens if the dough is not as wet, then that means it won't take as long to cook. Or on the other hand, it means you have to be careful. If you cook it too long, it'll dry out very quickly. And so we'll just work this flour into this dough by pressing it and folding it. You see how it folds over? That's how you get the flakes, the layers in your biscuit. And so we'll just gently fold this over and we'll work on picking up the rest of this flour. And sometimes when you put the milk in, it'll be a little more than this and the dough will be a little stickier, and that's all right as well. And you'll just have to get used to how it feels when you make these. Now if it's a little stickier, all that means is you might have to bake it just a little longer. But you don't want to over bake it because then you wind up with dry biscuits. And there's nothing worse than a dried biscuit. These won't be dry. So we'll get it where it's wide enough to cut out the first 2 biscuits. And I'm using a really small biscuit cutter. I'm going to make small biscuits. I'm trying to cut back on how much we're eating. And so I think this is a 2 1/8. Look at that, it's already coming apart. You see those layers? If it was wetter dough, they wouldn't come apart when you pull them up at this stage. You can see the layers, but the more moist the dough is, the less likely it is to do that. That also means there's not as much moisture, you see, and so you don't want to over bake these because they'll get dry very easy. And so we'll bring this together and cut out the third one, and we'll do the same process of folding it. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this new air fryer, and it has opened an opportunity to make different items and to learn different techniques. And so that's the third one. You want it about the same thickness, the same height. And now what we'll do is we'll bring together this last bit of dough to form the last biscuit. And you just have to kind of work it with your hands and get it into a biscuit shape. It's really simple. And this one will be a little larger than the first three, but that's all right. And I say this is biscuits for, well, 2 if you don't have a big appetite, you can share it. But if you're really hungry, this would be for 1. And if you're having, eggs and bacon and things with it, you don't need as much. So see how that fits in this little pan? Now we'll put it in the air fryer. And I know there's different kinds of air fryers, and this is the kind I have. And we want to set the time for 13 minutes because they're really dry. And then at 350 degrees. And we'll let those just cook away. Notice how they've risen. 13 minutes is up. And this is what they look like. You see that? Look at the layers. You just pull it and it comes right apart. That's how you make it. Now I also have this cinnamon honey butter. I made a video. I'll put a link to that, but I made a video showing how to make that. And I want to use that on these biscuits today. It's so delicious. And this is what they look like. And that cinnamon honey butter on those flaky biscuits are just melting and absolutely delicious. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, I appreciate you using my Amazon affiliate links. I'll have some in this video at the bottom, and it helps the channel and doesn't cost you anything. Well, let's have a taste. They're really, oh, wow. Delicious. I think you'll like them. Well, that's how you make them, in an air fryer. Delicious, flaky biscuits. Hey, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye now.